I said to myself, I need to get back to making more fancy rings. I've just been making too many with one little tiny stone just because they're easy to sell. But I really want to get back to the real artistry. So I got these 3 different types of stones, a chip, a 6mm, and a 4mm. These are actually very tiny, magnified. This is my finger. But, and this is a very dark red. You can't even see it if I don't brighten the camera. Here's how it looks normally. But in any case, this is the only 4mm I have that has a hole big enough to take 18 gauge. And I really prefer to do rings in 18 gauge. They're a lot stronger than 20. So I took my antique copper and I lined them up and I put them on and I started, giving them a little space, getting ready to roll them into kind of a more circular formation, make the ring. And they started to look so good in this pattern, just like this, that I said, oh, that looks so good. I don't want to make that a ring. Like, I want that to be seen even more prominently as a pendant. So here we go. So I went and made a necklace. And I like this so much, this particular necklace, that I said, you know what? I'm going to get a video on it. I don't know if I can do it again. I don't know if I had the chip break the first time, actually, because these chips are really flimsy. And when you try to put 18 gauge inside and then bend it really tight, it often fights you. And no, it often just breaks. But let's give it a shot. I think I'm going to do these 3 here, like this. I got this nice little, some kind of blue dyed jasper, and the red, this is just red glass, and that's turquoise howlite. It's a howlite with some dye added too. But these are like a nice pattern to put with that, antique copper there. So, without further ado, let's see what we can do. I'm going to take extra just to be on the safe side. No, I'm not, because I'm not making a ring. What am I making? I'm making a pendant. That's right. Okay. So, still take a little bit extra. This is about 10 inches. It's about 20 centimeters. And first thing we're going to do is make sure this chip is going to hold up. So it's going through so far. I'm going to bring it to about, oh, it got hung up on a little, sometimes if it's very tight, one little tiny bit, one little kink in the wire and it'll get stuck. Sometimes you can force it, but not if you're worried about it breaking. You want to be very careful. All right, we'll get it down here. About 2/3 of the way down. And we'll crimp it in. I think I still, just like the other one, I want to give it a little curly Q pattern because that's kind of cool. It just looks cool. And you got to just press it real carefully and tight and just come around real carefully. Make sure you get it just the way you want. I'm going to come across it twice because these chips are all shaped differently. It's really hard to mass produce because it's really hard to find a chip that doesn't have a hole way off on some weird edge. You really want the hole in the middle of the chip, and for some reason when they make these chips they think they're cute to just stick the hole all over the place, even if it's in the worst spot where it's going to break the whole thing. Anyway, rant over. That kind of swirled kind of nicely, right? So this will be the bottom of the pendant, so I'm going to, let's do the next 2 first. Put the 6mm on. Oh man, this is 6mm. It's pretty tight too. Alright, so the 6mm, we don't want to go all the way down. We want to give it a little bit of room because we're going to roll it in. Like so. And then we're going to take this side and pull it tight and roll it around like so and come back up like that. So now that's so pretty, and then bend it like that. Right now we can put our, let's get these kink out. Now we can put our 4mm. Voila. And we'll do the same thing with the 4mm. We will bend it tight and come around and give it like a cool little wrap around. Right, and this is kind of fun because you can roll it. You can just kind of roll it tighter if you need. And you can even, like, if you're careful, you can even come in there and try to pinch it a little bit. Just a little bit. Hopefully I'm not going to break it. All right. And here we are at the top. Now, each one is different. I mean, I've done these before. You can see, I think I did something called a 3-stone pendant, where I did this with like slightly larger stones and some flat stones. But basically, with this wire, you can just wrap a little more or just come straight up the back. But basically, you just want to get these 2 wires together at the top and make your little bail loop. So I think they can use a little more design. I don't want to make it too busy. I'm just going to come across. See, this is, it strengthens it too. If you, now you could do this with 20 gauge. 18 is really, really tight, and it might be a little tricky for people who are not a little experienced, but 20 gauge would definitely work. It'll be strong enough, don't worry. So I'm going to come across right like there, and I think I'm going to go around my middle stone again, give it more of a something. And there we go. Now I am together at the top with, see, it looked better before. I don't even like how I came around that middle stone too much. It came out kind of square. Maybe I can bend this in. There we go. Get that out of the way. Now it's not even showing there. That's good. I like that better. These 2 together. We're going to bend it into the shape of a little bail, a little loop. This could be the bail. If I turn it sideways, it'll be the bail. If I leave it like this, it'll be a loop, and the jump rings will make the bail. It's just a weird thing I do because there's something wrong with me. Now, if you could take your flat nose, you could take your fingers. In this case, it's round nose is working for me. I'm going to roll these pretty tight. I'm going to make a very, very tiny loop because I don't want the loop to overpower that pretty top stone. So it's kind of graduated, like large, medium, small, and then even the loop. You don't want to go smaller. I'd say smallest, but that would be too small. So make it about the same size as that. All right. So come around. You know what? I'm going to do something different this time. Before, I would just scarf it, just wrap it around here, cut it, and jam the sharp ends right in here. But that was a real battle before because this 18 gauge is thick, and when you only wrap it around once with the scarf, you have very limited area to tuck it, and you have to really get it just right. So I'm going to do something more fun. I'm going to make a swirl out of each of these ends that are left, and I have no idea where I'm going to put it, but you guys are free to try your own version. You want to be very careful when you're spiraling it. You want to use different techniques. You want to hold it not just pretty tight so it doesn't slip or scratch. See, I'm starting to scratch that little edge right there. Luckily, 18 gauge, luckily anti-copper, you can hit it with a brown Sharpie and it's almost the same color. So if you just scratch a little bit of the coating off, and it's not like a sharp scratch, it's just a little coating, just hit it with that brown Sharpie, and no one will be the wiser except you. You'll even forget that you did it yourself. It'll just fade into nobody's memory. All right, what is this? It's kind of a weird bumblebee looking thing now. It's a little bit too weird for me with those both on the same side. I think I'll move this one around that way, see what that does. Now it looks like a woman. It looks like a woman who's dancing, and she has one hand on her hip and the other hand up to her ear because she's listening. She's doing this dance where you pretend you're listening, and dun 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 dun. It's like a samba, dun 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 dun. Or is that more of a salsa? Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Can I hear you? Dun 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 dun. Can I hear you? She has her hand up to her ear because in the song she goes, "Can I hear you?" It's like part of the chant, and the crowd goes, "Yeah, can I hear you?" Dun 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 dun. Not sure how that would fit in the beat, but anyway, Is this what I want? Is this what nah, it looks goofy. Let's put this down here. There we go. Now she has both hands down on her hips. Now she's kind of putting one hand across her waist, like she's getting ready to curtsy. Turning this more face forward. Okay. What are we doing here? What are we doing? I think I'm going to unravel this one and put it further down there. Put it further. Oh, I'm going to flip it. Maybe flip it. See what that does. Nah, it looks goofy. Still looks like a woman motioning different things, but I'm trying to see how it would. See, that's what I get for not just scarfing it. Try to roll that back in a little bit. Yeah, that's definitely a woman. I can't get away from that. Maybe if I'll just hide that back there. I hate to lose a pretty swirl, but I mean, it's not. It's just throwing off the whole balance of the piece. See, this one little loop is kind of like a cool accent. This one little swirl, rather. So to see now the whole piece, now it looks more like a pendant, not like a woman. But it is a woman. She's hiding one hand behind her back. This is actually cool, too, because if the pendant happens to spin, which is very common on someone's neck, it'll look really cool from this side, too. So I'm liking this. I'm going to call this a win. And you guys can try your own version. Let me know how it goes. Just play around with it a little more, get the loops just right. Get us a nice antique. I got these antique copper chains. I got a bulk of them from Amazon. They're like 2 by 3 millimeter. That's the size of the links. It's specifically antique copper. I think they're 20 inches. No, 18 inches. And I got these 5 millimeter. Pretty sure that's 5 or 6 millimeter antique copper jump rings at Joann Fabrics. So I don't like buying my jump rings online anymore because half the time they come out too thin and flimsy. See how nice and chunky these are? Let me show you some ones I bought that are like blah. Okay, I can't even use them. They're so flimsy. So look at these. These were supposed to be good. They're graduated. They come in a container, right? Let me show you the same exact size jump ring as these nice chunky ones at Joann, right? Nice and strong. And look at these guys. Now, I don't know if you can see how much flimsier they are, but when you pick them up, it's like you feel like you're opening and closing a piece of hair. Like it's actually this. Now that I'm doing it, this isn't quite as bad as some others I've had. These might actually be usable. But some of them they're like super flimsy and they're cheap metal and you're like, ugh. So I always try to buy my jump rings in person, but sometimes I got them online. You get lucky. I'm just rambling. Let's put these on.